Yeah, yeah.
You see, I grew up in America. I grew up in the land where phrases like, I have a dream, meant something. I grew up where I believed that freedom existed, that that's what I was fighting for, that our founding fathers made America the land of the free and the land of the brave. This is America, damn it, and I'm taking it back.
And now your host, Terry Joyce.
All right, welcome to the Freedom of Joyce show tonight. I am Terry Joyce, your host, and happy Halloween. Happy Halloween 2015. I'm actually, today's been a day of synchronicity for me. I'm drinking out of a Halloween coffee cup that I just happened to pull out of the cupboard that I'm house sitting at. I'm actually house sitting for another host here on Revolution Radio, Sean David Morton, who is on a conspiracy cruise with his wife Melissa. And so I'm here broadcasting tonight on Halloween near the Redondo Beach Pier. And also, I want to take a moment to, I'm sure she's not listening right now because she's celebrating her birthday dinner, but maybe she'll listen to the archive. I just want to wish my mom, Joyce Beamer, happy birthday. And so it's also my mother's birthday, which is all kind of ironic too. But we're going to get here in the show in just a moment. This is the perfect Halloween show. Because in just a moment, I'm going to bring in our guest, Max Spiers, who we're going to be talking about MK Ultra, the occult, and also the military-industrial complex. And by the way, in Hollywood, in the entertainment business, a lot of the focus is going to be on that tonight, which I have an interest in, and I have for a very long time lately. Specifically since I myself have worked or do work, but I did work quite a bit in the Los Angeles area in Hollywood. I've been on numerous sets, Paramount, I mean, all of them basically. And, also worked on an NBC reality show as well, had that experience. And what's interesting about this correlation is, I'm reading a book that's at Sean David Morton's house called Weird Scenes Inside the Canyon by David McGowan. And it's a very interesting book to read, and it's talking about what happened in Laurel Canyon in the 1960s with the Mamas and the Papas and Crosby, Still and Nash and Jimi Hendrix and Jim Morrison, as well as Frank Zappa, and their connection to the military-industrial complex and the social engineering and design of that juxtaposition against the Vietnam War. I've been extremely curious in it, and as I was reading the book today, I kind of realized that even myself, I'm a little bit of like even 1 degree away from separation to being connected to some of the people that this book is even writing about. I've lived in Los Angeles since 1984, and pursuing stand-up comedy and the acting career. I mean, show business was something that I really wanted to go into, not realizing that the leg of the entertainment industry is connected to the occult and witchcraft and Masonic symbolism and what do you get, like Hollywood Boulevard? I don't know if anybody knows this, but the Jimmy Kimmel Show is actually taped out of an old Masonic temple that's on Hollywood Boulevard. If that doesn't ever question and make you wonder, like, what's going on here? I think it definitely should. And where the Laurel Canyon is located and what it's connected to, and how it's also related to the Getty and the Getty Museum, which I know that many people who are familiar with our station, we have Stephen D. Kelly, who wrote his book about and how the elite have underground bases. etc. So, I don't want to take too much longer because I want to get on with the show. But before I do, I just want to let everybody know out there that Revolution Radio is the number one listener supported radio network out there. So it's because of your dollars that we're able to stay here on the air. So give us a little Halloween treat with your dollars and keep supporting us tonight if you can by going to our support site at Freedom Slips or freedomslips.com. Right now, I'd like to introduce to the show, he's been here on Revolution Radio before. He also is mostly, came out a while back as being a super soldier as well, and we're going to talk very briefly about that and his history. But I'd like to welcome to the show Max Spiers. Thank you for being here tonight, Max.
Hi Terry. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm doing good. I've been really looking forward to this show.
Definitely. That build up with the Laurel Canyon thing too. Interesting that you had that book there. I've read that book because I was fascinated by the whole Laurel Canyon scene, 60s and up until present day. Now it continues. It's military run, like you said. So that was very interesting that you had that book there.
Yeah, it is interesting. And I realized today, too, that I had read certain passages of the book before, I think, online. So even when I was reading it, I was like, wait, I've read this before. So I thought that was kind of interesting. And then I thought, well, maybe I actually time traveled and read it before. But I'm just kidding. But
sometimes it's reminding you of things that you've just forgotten. Sometimes I'll pick up a book and the information that I read, I'll go, I knew that already. But I'd forgotten it. So it could have been that.
Yeah, that happens. I've had similar things. I think a lot of us have that happen to us where it's not like you're particularly, in some ways, learning new information, but you're kind of being reminded of information that you somehow know.
Because we're all walking around in amnesia and slowly remembering the things that were always inside of us, because all the answers essentially are inside of you, not outside of you.
Yes, that is true. I wanted to, can you just kind of tell us a little bit about your background and how you come to this information?
Yeah, of course. I grew up. I remember growing up. First memories, 2, 3, 4 years old, of seeing things in my bedroom when I would wake up in the night. I would wake up in the night and I would see what I know now to be orbs and different things, shadow sort of beings, orbs in the room when I would wake up in the night. So I was always sort of connected and knew that there was. I didn't have anyone to speak to about it really, because it's children, when they talk about those things, are generally the closet monster or the boogeyman under the bed are usually pushed away. But this was continued on. And as I became a teenager, I became obsessed with finding out what was actually going on. And as I continued to study, I was more and more interested, even as like mid-teen, 15, 16, 17, in mind control. And it was something that nobody else around me, and this was mid-90s, nobody else was talking about it. And I was fascinated more and more by it. And as I studied it more and more, I realized that we're drawn to things. We're magnetically drawn to specific subjects, topics, people, because they're there to teach us something or explain or remind you of something that's going on. And I found 2002, 2003, I started running into people who had similar stories to me. I lived in New Zealand from 2000 to 2004, and that's pretty much the opposite side of the world from the UK. And I started to meet people who had very, very similar experiences to me. And so studying that, with my mother when I was a child, she's an astrologer and a tarot card reader, so I had a basic understanding of archetypes and astrology. So I began to understand that the cities that I'd lived in throughout my life seemed to be laid out in a specific way, in a geometrical way, where a courthouse would always be in a specific place, the police station would always be in a specific place. So then I started identifying numbers connected with different places, libraries. I noticed how that they were doing that, so that led me then to in March of 2008. I'd moved back from New Zealand. I'd moved to LA. I'd lived sort of near where you are now. And in March of 2008, I went through a period of 2 weeks, and I've talked about this before. From what I understand now, with trauma-based mind control, it happens this way. When a child is traumatized before the age of about 3, before the age of 6 and before the age of 3, when a child is traumatized before the age of 3, it immediately creates an amnesiac barrier, so the child doesn't have to keep reliving the experience of whatever the trauma was. Mind control has been going on since Egyptian times and before then. So they've just sort of refined it through the Second World War, through the Nazis, through the Second World War. They sort of refined it and got it down with technology and with the occult. So they have it down now to a perfect science. And what had happened, I'd heard what had happened around the age of 30, 31. There often can be a bleed through where nothing can hold those memories in that spot anymore. So it can be compared to a schizophrenic breakdown, but by categorizing somebody as schizophrenic with that, you're sort of kind of dismissing and not realizing that there's a lot more going on with it. As I had these memories come through, I started to realize that the timeline and the events that had happened in my life didn't make sense and didn't fit exactly how I thought they had. And this 2-week period, which I'm not going to go into now because I've spoken about it before, but this 2-week period literally woke me up to literally flip my life on its head. And so by the end of 2008, I had to get involved in exposing or finding out what was really going on. And so I will go into that, but March of 2008 was when I knew that I needed to open up and speak to anybody about this. And very, very quickly, I drew to me a lot of people who were having the same things.
Very interesting. We spoke a little bit earlier before the show, and you said in 2008 this kind of happened around Heath Ledger's death, and that you had a connection to him.
Yeah. Okay, so I have a background in the entertainment industry because my grandfather was an a British character actor. My mother growing up was around a lot of celebrities, and I'm trying to think of the name of it. Heath Ledger was one of the children who was so there's programs there are programs that are put together, and they pick specific children from specific bloodlines and which are bred for specific bloodlines for specific roles, and Heath was bred for that, and all his movies were done in a ritualistic sense. So each one was done to show you almost like all his movies were done as a large tarot card reading. The Hanged Man, the Joker is used, the Death card is used. What I've begun to understand, some of these people, so the roles in Hollywood, the roles that they get are just giant ritualistic or ceremonial magic pieces rather than individual movies.
Oh, interesting.
So yes. With Heath, with that, the connection being, there's a lot of numerological connections to him. I'm just sort of avoiding saying names now, but
Okay.
yeah.
We don't have to say who it is at all, but that does make sense. And if you think about the body of work that he did, there's a Brokeback Mountain is one of them.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
So so that
which
that
was really
also
a cultural shift, really. I think.
now if you look if you the word Brokeback Mountain, well, mountain is symbolic of a pyramid, and Brokeback, so it's a broken pyramid, something to do with symbolically the capstone not being placed on the top, uh, a broken pyramid. That's what I got from that. The movie itself was more conditioning to make it more acceptable for the new order that is being put in. There's slowly conditioning to accept certain lifestyles. It's not really about a gay or a lesbian thing. It's just that they keep pushing down. It's like a drip, slowly, more and more accepting, because they couldn't go ahead and put out the depravity that they want to put out immediately. They have to slowly lead you to a point so that you accept it that way. And so I'm just addressing the Brokeback Mountain particularly movie.
Yeah. Well, thank you for doing that as well. So I want to know
Yeah.
the esoteric aspect of Hollywood and
Yeah.
the ritual. I mean, right now being Halloween, I'm sure that there's probably a lot of things going on in this town.
Hollywood. So Hollywood itself is based on the Holywood, which is I don't know if you know that there's a certain smell in Hollywood, which comes from the wood that grows there, and Hollywood. This holy wood is the wood of illusion, and so they're using that particular area to manifest through the subconscious of the people who watch, which is most of the Western world. Movies are done in a sort of similar to a dream state. They put the mind into a beta state. So when you dream in, or usually you would dream in pictures, and it's at one to the other, like a movie. It cuts from one to the other. So that puts the mind into a beta state, and then triggers can then be layered throughout the movie to then imprint within the person. If you do that en masse, because the subconscious is the thing that controls and manifests the physical reality, you can manifest what you want through a mass of people watching a movie.
Yeah, I can definitely see that, Max, and also, being that, having participated in many ways in the creative process down here, that is what is going on. What I find interesting too, my own experience in working in reality television, and then coming out of it, and then realizing that what a manipulation it is on our society as well, and then they just chop it up and call it reality television.
But just by calling it reality is imprinting on the people who are watching it that is what real should be.
Right.
And so, yeah, so you're sort of tricking the mind of the people, yeah, because there's nothing real about it. It's all contrived and it's all staged, essentially. Anyway, so it's not reality at all.
Or they put people.
It's more inversion.
They put people too. Either they put people in situations that, based on their, I think based on their personalities and stuff, that they've figured out, because you're definitely cast. You play a part in it.
Yes.
Regardless.
Yes.
You in a sense, even on the show that I was on, Last Comic Standing, I knew by looking at I saw a description of it in Backstage West. It said 10 comics compete and live in a house, Big Brother versus American Idol kind of thing, and I knew I go, they're going to cast every single type of stereotype of demographic that they think lives there. Example, right. And then they give you a situation to play out between one another based on what they've been watching. I really think they watch you come in. They go, okay, this person, this, and they give you situations, and people reacted in a particular manner that's part of the game.
Yeah, who understand? They'll have psychs there who will be able to read and scan you very quickly and find vulnerabilities within each person, and then play you in a particular situation that will provoke or invoke a reaction that they want you to have. And very often, a lot of the people, certainly in American Idol and Big Brother, most of these contestants have been MK'd anyway. I'm not saying all of them, but a lot of them, and they have to have a certain amount of that, otherwise it's not controllable, and they want to make sure that it seems perfectly real, but in fact it's completely contrived.
Yeah.
And also depending on what time of the year it is for the people who are watching, they the the premise behind it is to invoke as much a specific type of emotion from the general public, but that they can then be harvested, and that emotion can then be stolen and harvested, because this whole game we're playing is about energy and about who can take the most energy. And fear energy seems to be that fear energy or sexual energy are the easiest ones to invoke and then take from. Okay. So then we're sort of like slipping into a lot of these beings or the elites who are manufacturing these, if we're talking about reality television, are psychic vampires. And so they don't have a central core which is powering themselves. They don't have a sacrum which is powering themselves. So they need to take energy from others to maintain themselves. And that's why you'll find a lot of those types of people doing work in front of big audiences, because when you have a massive reaction from an audience, whether it's negative or positive, that energy can be filtered to the person who is creating the reaction.
Yeah, I would totally agree with that. In what you're saying, just by having, even personally experiencing, being a part of that.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I heard I think it was Larry David say that the feeling of getting a laugh when you're on stage is literally like almost like crack, so it becomes addictive, and that the feeling of adulation from a group also becomes an actual addiction, and that comes from the reptilian brain, so it ties in with any and all other addictions as well.
Yeah, no, I know that too, and I know several people like that. It is addictive. You do get a rush of energy from an audience, or doing something like that, being underneath that kind of. Yeah, it's very intoxicating, and some people it can be destroying if you don't get centered and
Sure.
and realize that we're not
Sure.
living by our ego self. We're living by something else, but something much greater than that, really.
Yes.
So you have to be able to look beyond it, the prison of perception and the feeding of that kind of energy, sort of.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Yeah.
So, where I wanted to go, where I wanted to go with what I wanted to speak about is, there has been the 20th century, the last 100 years that we've just been through. There has been a final attack and assault on the human heart, and the thing that I'm not sure how to. So I'm going to use the word elite. I don't want to. That's so the controlling faction. There's the stream of consciousness that is attempting to have complete control of Earth in every way. Can't do it unless the human heart, is completely taken over, because the human heart is the hardest part to control. Through the chakra points, the heart is the part that's completely, mostly protected. They have attacked on multiple levels. genetic manipulation, eugenics. Um, uh, there's a war going on between a priest caste and the scientists, which has been going on pre-Atlantis. It's been going on for 50,000 years, and the war that's going on today, the present war that's going on today, is the same war that was going on before, with the same characters involved. We're wearing different costumes now, and the scientists want quote unquote, the scientists want self control, to control and have self will, and the priest caste is about divine will and divinity for all, rather than the self or the beast self. And this particular war is coming to a climax now as we move through 3D into 4D. It's becoming more and more apparent. That's why they've had to up the pressure to shut down the DNA, which is now awakening in a lot of people. They are frantically trying to shut it down so we don't become aware of who we actually are. Because as soon as human beings become aware of who they are, then the reality that we have falsely created here will end.
Max, who are
Yeah.
we? In your opinion, if we have this awareness, what is it that we're becoming aware of, and what is that thing that they are so afraid of?
Okay, human beings have a God spark within them. They have the creative. I'm using God loosely. The creative spark within them. They can manifest and create with nothing. They don't have to have something. They don't have to use other. They can create through heart. This particular stream of consciousness, which is using sound to imprison Gaia at the moment, they don't have the ability to manifest and create in 3D like human beings do. So they have to manipulate the subconscious of the human beings to create a false reality that they want to have here. Who are we? This particular version, in my opinion, this particular version of the Homo erectus that we have now, this particular version is, I think, an Anunnaki creation, and I think that I'm not 100% agreed on Zachariah Sitchin's information, where he talks about a slave race, but I do feel that we were made as almost batteries to create a reality of for that somebody else or another stream of consciousness wants, and we have been caught in loops and cycles over and over and over again. And the religion has played an enormous, the last 2,000 years of religion has played an enormous part in that. Religious energy, when you go and you pray, when you go to churches and you pray, that's very, very, very powerful energy. And they're working as so you see the outer when you go to a church, but there is always, they work on as above, so below. So there's always something below the church as well. So they're drawing negative energy. They're using the prayer energy for themselves to continue manifesting an inverted reality. And it also connects to the planet Saturn, and Saturn being bound, and using Saturn, which is not. There's a lot of negativity talked about Saturn and how it's a negative thing and a negative planet. Well, it isn't. It was captured and bound, and they're using the. All planets are neutral, and it's just the intent behind, or the will behind the use of it, which gives the polarity. And they're using the lowest possible frequency that Saturn has to then be amplified through the false moon that we have, and then creating an inverted negative reality. And it's breaking down, and it's literally breaking down now because of an awakening. Literally, I think there's an awakening of the planet itself, and because we are part of the planet, we are in and one the same. The human beings are waking up with the planet and realizing. In terms of numbers, I don't know how many have to wake up to be aware for this to stop. But I know that this is how we're going through this moment now. We're going through it. We'd been through it before when Atlantis fell 15,000 years ago, 12,000 years ago. Is another cataclysm where there was a chance to awaken and remember what was happening, remember who we are. And we didn't. And a lot of the priests went underground, and then we have the Egyptian, the pharaohs from Egypt, then were a lot to do with the dark sorcerers from Atlantis as well, because the Egyptian template of control is what they particularly like. The master-slave reality with top-down hierarchy, with the elite at the top and the slaves going down, literally in that pyramid shape, is what they see as the ultimate way to have control.
Max, I want to go into the LA area and the Laurel Canyon area and the MK Ultra and the military industrial complex, and your knowledge on that with the entertainment business. And I've looked into the whole Disney aspect of what they've done to the young stars there, and again I'm interested in Laurel Canyon and your knowledge. You mentioned earlier.
So Disney and Crowley was sort of synonymous. Walt Disney and Aleister Crowley were synonymous, and they were working together, and embedded within the Disney stories. I mean, it's very apparently very very pedophilic, but within the stories there are secrets that are put in and embedded within it, and there's mystery school knowledge within it. So interesting you bring up Disney. It's totally to condition, and it's very important for them to get hold of the children first, because as soon as possible, because they're the new creators. So Disney was put together with around the time of Project Paperclip, when the Nazis came over. So and that was one of the powerful attacks on the human heart again. If you have a specific question about Laurel Canyon, then it's naval intelligence. There's a base as you go. If you're coming down, the area. If you're coming down Ventura Boulevard and you go north, you go over the canyon. As you go over the canyon, Mulholland is up there too, and the Getty Center, as you said, is around there. That John Paul Getty money, so multi-billions were put into the base that is in the mountain there. And Frank Zappa was involved. I don't know whether or not he there's a lot of handling and programming going on. I know that they were involved in it deeply. I know that David Geffen and the producer David Geffen and the producer Rick Rubin are high magicians, high sorcerers, and most of what goes on in this space is technology and magic, black magic, negative magic, to continue to maintain the system that is going on now.
I've noticed. I lived in Pasadena, California, for a really long time, and and again, for myself, there's that realization of what actually is really around you after being there for so long, in a way, because. There's Caltech, there's JPL, there's the whole NASA, all that stuff going on in that town, and then you have. Pasadena Playhouse and this sort of, entertainment thing going on, although not quite as prevalent. And, I remember one time I was at a bar in Pasadena, California, and this guy just sort of randomly says, do you know that L. Ron Hubbard and Anton
Parsons.
LaVey knew each other. Yeah, and then there's Jack Parsons, and then I keep for myself. It seems like more of the story unfolds where there's the Jack Parsons connection, and then Aleister Crowley, and then the whole black magic that
the Agape Lodge there in Pasadena, yes, and also Dr. Drew Pinsky has 2 rehab centers in Pasadena, and Drew Pinsky is a programmer and a handler for celebrities, and he is deeply entrenched in Pasadena. Just another. I mean, I know the guy. I know Drew Pinsky, and he is very much not talking about Jimmy Kimmel as well. Drew Pinsky is connected to Jimmy Kimmel. That Masonic building that's on Hollywood Boulevard there. It had to be Jimmy Kimmel had to do his show there. It was set up for him to do that there. He's also part of there's covens, so he's part of one of the higher covens that go on in Hollywood, and the way that the layout is of the guests and the interviews within the Freemasonic building is all kept exactly how it was when it was used as a gathering spot. So the rituals that had gone on within that building, that's ritual is so important to them, because when you do a ritual, you then draw on all the energy of anybody who had ever done that ritual before. Because when you do a ritual, it creates a morphogenetic field that then you can attach to and empower yourself. So ritual is critical to them.
Oh, wow. That's it. I do also now. Isn't the word Hollywood also the word from it's from the holly tree? It's the sorcerer's wand it's made out of. Is that
okay? So they call it Hollywood because that particular the holly tree is connected to paganism. The holly berries, interestingly enough, Halle Berry is connected. That was a name coded for her because she's a monarch. The berries from the tree. In the Egyptian book, there's a book, very famous book called the Egyptian Book of Living and Dying, and there's a book called the Egyptian Book of the Dead, and they were both written 2,000-3,000 years. They're old book, 2,000-3,000 years ago. And in the Egyptian Book of the Dead, it goes into detail about using about how they were, even back then, mind controlling, creating mind controlled slaves using potions and burning certain things and using berries, and so the holly and the berry are very significant. Yeah, and it's an illusory wood. The wood in paganism, the wood connected to that tree is a wood that will cast. Will fool you. It's there to fool. It's a wood to trick, and it's also connected to the phallus too, to phallus worship, Osiris phallus worship. The Oscar. So when you win an Oscar in Hollywood, Osiris, Ka would be the energy that runs up and down the spine of human beings, which is creative force energy. So the gold Oscar statue is just an ode to Osiris.
how many of the people do you think in Hollywood? I mean, again, do you think that a lot of the celebrities that we see today have they made deals? I mean, are they practicing? Are they practicing witches, or are some of them? It seems like there might be a combination of some that are aware and then some that are basically have been MK Ultra'd.
I think that there is a great deal of blackmail going on within it, and I think there are quite a few who don't want to be doing the things that they're doing and don't want to be involved in that, but they will pick people who have a propensity to do things that are debauched or against the law, and then gather information on them, hold the information, and then say, unless you do this, you'll be exposed. So there's that part, there's that aspect of it. When you're talking about a shattered mind from trauma-based MK, the front altar, which is the walk around everyday altar, has absolutely no idea that any of the other ones exist. And so because of that, it's very, very hard to blame, because they don't know. In terms of deals, I don't know. Possibly deals from generations before, possibly deals from 100 years ago, that this particular family member will get this if this is done. 7 generations back. I know that that goes on. But as I said, so the altars are not aware of any of the other ones. They think the front altar is all that there is, and if a trigger word or a sound or a frequency or a color is then done, it could only be a very mild shift to an altar that is very, very similar to the front altar that you see, but it will do things slightly different. So I think it is a combination of both. And I think there are genuinely some literally sociopathic, psychopathic people in there who get kicks from doing it as well.
How many of the people that are that work in Hollywood would you say, actors? It seems like a lot of them, they seem to be like you said, like Heath Ledger. They're groomed from being kids.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it possible that somebody who may have walked in, but not necessarily groomed as a kid, but they still latch on and they're still able to sort of somewhat MK Ultra them because they're subjected to being their...
They're also looking for the extremely ambitious. So the ones who will do anything to get to the top, they'll usually go behind them. Royal Arch Freemasonry is an offshoot of Freemasonry, and the Royal Arch Freemasons are known to do pretty much anything to get ahead, or to get up, to the next level in their career, or a partner that they want. So I think, yeah, I mean, I agree with you.
You know who comes to mind when you say that is Madonna.
Yes. Okay. I think she was groomed. I think she was groomed young to play the Madonna in rituals. I think that she was used in outside of her, because most of her videos are ritualistic and doing that. But she's also used as a high priestess in rituals in the 80s. Numerous people have told me that, and there is a lot of pornography that is involved. They have a deep underground pornography where they involve all of these people, and they keep these tapes too. So I'm not sure. If my instinct says that she came from an Italian. She's connected to this Italian bloodline, and that they groomed her from the beginning.
Oh, interesting. Because it's interesting that they depict her as being somebody who wanted to, just was really, really ambitious and would do anything to get ahead. Which seems like an archetype that they like to push out there for women or people to adhere to.
Yeah. And also it's going to like So we're moving. So they're trying to implement the new world. This new world that they keep talking about. What is it like? What is the new world? I heard it so many times. Okay, well maybe there's now a great time to. Kissinger has said it so many times. To implement the new world order, but they never actually say what that is.
Right.
They don't say anything about it at all, and they just sort of leave you with those words. And I think there's power in the words that also invokes fear in people, and they like that. But they want to have a completely the New World religion. I'm sort of watching it being introduced. and they have to sort of get rid of and damn all the other religions first. And it seems like each Christians are being attacked, Muslims are being attacked verbally, but more so than ever before, almost like they're trying to incite a race war so that they can create that, and then someone can step in and say, hey, this is a new idea, let's put this in, and then implement the new set of rules, which the New World religion has its basis in self and do what thou wilt, Crowley-esque kind of ideas, which is basically very satanic, and but disguised under. Often they're disguising it with transhumanism and atheism, sort of then blending it into Satanism. And I know it's kind of Satanism is kind of a general, not general word, but when I say that, I mean sort of like the worship of the self, completely.
Which, in many ways, when people say that we're becoming enlightened, or the Enlightenment, or is not being about the self, it's being at least for us to graduate to where we're at least 51% service to others and not necessarily the self.
Right, and that, but so the science, so the war between the priest caste, it would be for the divine will for all, and the scientists are the worship of the self, and for the self. So and this war is the continuing war.
Well, that's even with if you notice, that's what to me, that's what reality television does. Because they always set up there's a condition, here's this prize that these people are competing to get to, and look what they're going to do to each other to be able to do it.
Yeah, and how much will you sell out? How far will you go to sell out your friends to do that? Because that's how they want it. They want to maintain the law of the jungle. They want to maintain the might is right. It's all the traits from the reptilian brain they want to maintain, because they to get rid of compassion in every way, to shut down the heart in every way, because once the heart is shut down, then we're all pretty much it's about breaking the heart. It's about heartbreak. It's about breaking the heart. And I've seen in Hollywood as well, if you if you harm or you break the heart of if you're in a relationship, and this happens on a grand scale, they seem to get rewarded for it. I mean, I'm just bringing up the Courtney Love and Kurt Cobain. And I know it's not specifically that, but there was a huge payoff for her. As soon as he died, as soon as he was out of the picture, she was in movies and she was all glammed up, and she
skyrocketed after that.
Within
immediately.
Weeks.
Yeah,
within weeks.
It's like I mean, I remember that. Yes.
And that goes on. I mean, and something just came to mind with Eric Clapton and his son Connor Clapton died and fell out of the window of a hotel. Now, I'm not saying that is that, but it seems to me that a lot of these, rock bands from the 70s and 80s, Zeppelin, Sabbath, the Beatles, the Stones, one of them has died, and it's always the one with the softest heart. It's the one that's the kindest. Usually the one that goes, because that's more pain. There's more pain and suffering that way, on a grander scale. Because even if you didn't know that person, if somebody who has heart is killed, because we're all connected, you will feel, the average person will feel, general public will feel it a lot more than had they not been. had they not been compassionate people.
So do you think? I mean, and you know what else? Who else just came to mind to me is John Belushi. John Belushi dies, and then his brother comes out of nowhere.
Out of nowhere, and then yes, and so that, I mean, that's a huge sellout for your, to sacrifice your brother, and then he had a career and for 30 years. And Belushi, and John Belushi was known to be the kinder of the two. The one who died, John died, right?
Yeah, John Belushi died. Yeah, he overdosed at the Chateau Marmont.
Right.
By the way, Robin Williams was present.
Yes, he was.
As well as Robert De Niro.
De Niro was there, really?
Yeah, that's what I heard. I mean, that's to my understanding, and they both, of course, scuttled out of there, right?
Yes, but being there at the death, there are rituals that go on at when somebody dies, and they can draw energy, or the soul energy, from the eyes of the person that is dying, and that happens. So I don't know if that happened there, but when there's someone hanging around at the death, I always thought there was some connection or something was going on there. Yeah, with Robin Williams, because I think that Robin Williams is deeply involved in it, and not saying that he was an evil man, but I think that they had a lot of dirt on him, and he knew a lot of secrets, and he became a liability, I think, and they got rid of him for that.
It's interesting that you bring him up. Because I've been. Again, if you talk about, what I'm 1 degree away from separation, there's that going on. I mean, I never met Robin specifically, but somebody that I'm very close to was. And I'll be right back with more Freedom of Joyce in just a moment with Max Spiers. Stay tuned for the rest of the show and the Halloween. Happy Halloween. So we'll be right back.
All right.
And now we return you to your host.
All right, welcome to the Freedom of Joyce show. I am Terry Joyce, your host, and welcome back. Just at the top, we are now again at the top of the hour, and I just want to do a quick little plug for Revolution Radio. Again, we are the #1 listener-supported radio network out there. All of us here donate. We get by on your support, and trust me, I when I got to go back for Hawksfest, I saw the bills, and really we need everything that's there to keep this boat up and running. So please do support us at our support site at freedomslips.com. Also, we do have a page, a Facebook page at Revolution Radio, so take a moment to like us there. We often do post our memes as well. And if you want to find me on Facebook, my name is Terry Joyce. That's spelled T-E-R-E Joyce. You can find me that way. And please take a moment to like my Facebook page, which is Freedom of Joyce. And I also have a group called the Global Freedom of Light Movement. If you want to join that as well, please feel free to do that. We post many things. Oftentimes, I always post my shows and all that kind of stuff. So, anyways, I want to welcome back Max Spiers for being here tonight. Thank you so much.
Hi, Terry.
Hello. Hi. We were just before the break. We were talking about Robin Williams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead. So,
I would like to go a little bit more whatever information or thoughts a little bit more in detail about that. He was huge to us. I mean, in the community that I'm in, and I do have a friend of mine who's very close to him at the time, and even kind of went on some of the shows and sort of spoken about his death and what they hypothesized took his life. I think what they wanted to tell us was that he had some sort of depression based on some medication he was taking for depression, which always blows my mind that the very thing that you take something for actually makes you commit suicide. I mean, haven't we woken up and realized that that's ridiculous, right?
They never released the company Eli Lilly, which is a George Bush funded company who put out Prozac, which is one of the main SSRIs, antidepressant. They never released to the public the the stats of what happened to the initial tests of the people, and over 50% of the people, when they were given reasonable doses or average doses of it, had killed themselves. Interestingly enough, the name of the company who makes Prozac is Lilly, which is connected to Lilith, the energy Lilith, which is often connected to negative feminine. The SSRIs, which those antidepressants, make not everybody, but I think people who are sensitive and who are gifted and are aware, slightly more aware, awakened, can be very, very damaging. And I've experienced that. I took Prozac for 4 weeks in 2000 because I felt I needed it, and it just was not the worst thing that I could have done. It made me not care about anything. It made me completely apathetic, they're not good, and they were never meant to be good. And Big Pharma was never meant to be beneficial to human beings. It was always meant to maintain the problem, to keep the money coming in. Why would they want to get rid of it get rid of any of the physical elements when they make so much money? Because the drugs cost so much money.
Also, yeah, I'm with you on this, and I think Big Pharma and all of that. I mean, all of the. It's just a terrible agenda, that they.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's kind of clear. I mean, it seems very clear as well. That's the thing. Did you know that Prozac, 50% of the medicine in there, half of it is fluoxetine and half of it is fluoride. So when you take it, you're putting massive doses of fluoride into your body, which makes you subservient and slower, and do as you're told. Fluoride. There's some huge amounts of it, and that's not talked about, and that's not said.
Max, I want to get a little bit back to Robin Williams too.
Yes.
Which for some reason he's just on my mind right now.
Yeah.
Could it be too because he was so beloved as well, and the public. It was.
Yeah.
I mean, I felt my heart hurt, and just because I thought about all the different movies, and he even in a lot of the parts that he's played in films has come from their heart parts. I think
he always played Awakenings. The movie Awakenings comes to mind with De Niro. Actually, as you said, he was there with Belushi. But yes, he's always kind and compassionate and emotional, and he always makes people cry, and you feel for him, and that's why the death of him they impacted so powerfully. They want to do that, and I think with Cobain, we were talking about earlier, it sent shockwaves because people felt for him because he was a regular guy. Seemingly, a regular guy, and the more suffering that's caused to the populace, the bigger the gain.
You know what?
Person.
We do have a caller here for just a moment.
Yes.
Jude is with us. Is this Jude Rogers?
Yeah.
Oh, Jude, welcome to the show. Is there?
Jude.
Hi.
Max, hi. How you guys?
Hi.
Thank you
Jude.
for talking about this and being here. I tried to get everybody to hear you, but okay. So take a breath. This is about Robin, my beloved Robin.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
From the very moment that I heard that he killed himself, I didn't believe it. And there is that. So what do you really think? Because there is a July 6th issue of the National Enquirer, and it published parts from his. I guess they actually did do an autopsy finally. It says there was no evidence at all of trauma, which would have occurred if. So they made a story up that he was murdered by some random robber and he didn't commit suicide. But I mean, I think it was far different than that personally. And there was that, there was that sketch from that bizarre TV show that aired. What's it called?
Oh,
Family Man. The
yeah.
Family Guy.
Family Guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So go ahead. Let me hear you. You must have seen that, right?
They do. So knowing that the subconscious is the manifesting part of the physical reality, they'll layer into animation, often animation more than anything else. So then the subconscious of the people accepts it, and then almost allows it to happen, allows it to unfold. So they'll slip it in and do it that way. There was lots of 9/11 showing you 9/11 being destroyed for decades before it happened, so that the subconscious is conditioned to accept it, because the subconscious has to accept it for it to manifest in the physical.
How clever of
I
them.
I just don't buy that he committed suicide.
Well, I don't
Yeah,
either. I mean, and plus, he died again. He died the same way as that scene that his son died in the movie.
Yeah.
And then they were also blaming his death on the fact that he had some sort of open heart surgery where they took the heart all the way out of the body and then put it back in again.
So there's the attack on the heart again.
Supposed to cause depression or something. Yes.
So that's a symbolic attack on the human heart again. And Robin Williams stood for heart. We were associating Robin Williams with compassion and heart. And so them telling you that taking the heart out and putting back is then one more attack on human beings' heart. They're trying to break the heart. That's the final thing. That's to them, that's the final thing.
Was his death on a significant date?
Yes,
okay.
I think it was on a numerologically significant to him and his astrological or his natal chart.
But did he kill himself?
No, I don't believe that he did at
Oh,
all.
thank you.
No, I don't.
You
believe
didn't
he
say
killed
that
himself.
before, Max.
Oh, I'm sorry. No.
You were kind of hinting that he might have committed suicide because his subconscious accepted it.
Well, I mean,
I didn't say his subconscious. I said that the human beings have to accept that. It's not whether or not he killed himself. His death. So they layer it into TV that his death is then accepted. It doesn't matter which way, and then so then that manifests itself.
Well, Oscar Wilde, there's this Oscar Wilde quote that that the only way to tell the truth and not be assassinated is to be funny, but that's not necessarily true, is what I'm realizing. That it doesn't matter if you're funny or not funny; they might still take you out. There's also, within this book that I'm reading about the Laurel Canyon incident, it mentions Lenny Bruce of all things.
I was just going to say Lenny Bruce, and he was working for the FBI at the end. He was a rat. He was a spy, and he was informing for the feds on drug deals that were going down. And I think they got rid of him because he was in the know about a lot of stuff that was going on. Lenny.
That's interesting. You know what? Because I always saw him as being this sort of victim. Well, I'm not saying he still is a victim, but as being this person that went up against the institution for freedom of speech, and then also he pointed out he was pointing a finger at the police and the Catholic Church, which I don't think they really wanted somebody to be doing at that time.
Yes.
In the 60s, but knowing that he might have been an informant, how linked he was, and that happened. He also died in Laurel Canyon.
Yes, yeah. It's a sacrificial ground area. I think it's a Native American ground area where a lot of deaths happened. So the sadness.
I'm not driving through the canyon anymore. I shall go to no parties there anymore, ever.
Never say never.
It's definitely got an electric energy about it. That's for sure.
Oh, wow. Jude, thank you so much for calling in.
Thank you, Jude.
Okay, blessings.
Blessings.
Bye.
Happy Halloween.
Yeah, okay. Ciao.
Ciao. Yeah, that was. I'm really glad she called in and asked more about Robin. And what about Joan Rivers? What is your thoughts about her death was very mysterious as well.
Yeah. So much all the information coming out about the transgender movement and that's part of the new world. They want to have a new world slave that is androgynous. and not defined by male or female, because that weakens when you don't when the identity is sort of broken like that, they're more in their mind, they're more malleable or more pliable or easier to control. So then when Joan Rivers came out and said about Barack Obama's wife,
Yes.
that sort of, I think she sort of stepped over the line, and they sort of don't stand for that pretty quickly. They'll get rid of you quickly for that.
They didn't even honor her at the Oscars either. They did the memory.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought, wow, that was a slap in the face.
Yeah. Yes. I think she's also insider and also knew a lot, you know. And once you say one thing, they're going to be terrified that you're going to say something else. So they won't have that as a liability.
And I often wonder how many of the entertainers that do become, well, obviously you see where they'll use celebrities to further agendas that they want us to vote for.
Yes. So yeah. So they'll spend decades showing you movies with specific actors. So then you sort of gain trust with them because of the characters that they play, and the better the actor. Usually the greatest actors are channels anyway. They're not acting, they're channeling. But so then you gain more and more trust with them, with the characters they've had, and then they can speak on a political stage, and you've believed who they were. Robin Williams would have been perfect for that, because we had so much love for him and his characters he played, and so they can use them to further the agenda that way. Angelina Jolie is actually a member of the Council on Foreign Relations, which is quite bizarre, because that is an extremely powerful group that calls shots. They make 10-year plans, 20-year plans. Why is she part of that?
Yes.
Why is she connected to that? That doesn't make any sense. Why they're going over to African countries, finding King Solomon bloodline children who have extreme gifts, and then adopting them, bringing them back. They're not random children. These are children that have been found from specific bloodlines and then brought back.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes.
That makes sense. So they're not being as humanitarian as we think they are.
It's inversion again. No, they're not being humanitarian at all. Bono isn't humanitarian at all. He's part of the eugenics program. His mind, Geldof and him are behind a lot of the mind behind, well, the outer mind behind the eugenics in Africa. And I know that sounds sort of the polar opposite of what they portray, but yeah. They're part of that.
I want to also invite. We have another caller. Thank you so much.
Okay.
And if anybody else does want to call in, I haven't even announced it, which is even interesting. You can call us at 347-688-2902 here on Revolution Radio. And if for some reason that doesn't work right now, my other number is still working at the moment: 323-795-2215. Caller 646. Welcome to the Freedom of Joy Show.
Oh, thank you. Wanted to, on the note of eugenics, and I was wanting to segue back to a little bit earlier when you were talking about antidepressants and how they're half fluoxetine and half fluoride.
Yes.
Can you comment, and I'll take my answer off the air, but could you comment a little bit on also how they have targeted children with the whole ADD, ADHD, back to, I think that a whole ADD started in the early 80s and a little bit earlier than that, in the 70s. That's when they drugged a bunch of kids with Ritalin, and how that's stifling their potential and.
What the psychological institutes do, they'll come up with an ailment, and then diagnose you with it, and then give you the pharmaceuticals to fix it. They say, but it's not actually fixing it. The ADD and ADHD was induced. It was created. It's not naturally there. It's not a natural thing. The video games, commercials, switching very fast from one thing to another, stopped the mind from having fluid thought patterns, and shifting that like that created the ADD and ADHD. And giving Ritalin or Adderall to these children is completely disconnecting them from themselves, from their true selves. To even justify to give Adderall is amphetamine. It's amphetamine. It says it's amphetamine. To give amphetamine to children is so beyond anything that makes any sense.
We still have we have millions of kids here in the States on these amphetamines, and to this day people fall for the whole narrative that the whole scam that it's a chemical imbalance or whatever, and what you were saying.
It's this thing that all of a sudden was discovered now, like we've always had that element. I agree with what you're saying on it.
Yeah.
And then there's a pharmaceutical drug that's there to
all of a sudden,
to do something
right?
for it. Yeah.
And a lot. I mean, with satanic ritual abuse as well. There's a whole setup that's going on, which is to discredit and discount anybody who comes forward and says those things. And they're making up all kinds of new psychological disorders to make sure you're categorized with a mental disorder, and so that what you say is not legitimate. It's because you have a mental disorder.
All right, caller 646. Do you have another question that you would like to ask Max?
No, we can. You guys can move on. Thanks for taking my call.
Oh,
and
thank you.
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
And also we have Pony. Pony is with us. Pony, welcome to the Freedom of Joy show. Hello? Hello?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay,
Am I clear?
Yeah, you're clear. Thank you for calling in.
Great show. I'm loving it. This is right up my alley, man. I do my own show. And so I'm tracking, I call them effigies because they're going to get burned up, these celebrities. And you could easily slip in like a secret agent in their entourage when they go on tour. But I'm tracking Katy Perry, and ever since Dark Horse, and then we went into the era of the horse. We had a lot of play. What's his name? Paul Walker died in a Porsche. Porsche symbol is a horse. Michael Schumacher went down, drove for a Ferrari horse. Philip Hoffman, friend of horses, died on the horse. Same day the Broncos got slaughtered. So there was something there. Now we're in the year of the goat. Next year's the year of the monkey. So I track all this stuff as well, man. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's all ritualistic. They're all it's critical for them to do things obsessively ritualistically, because then they're empowering even more. Like I said, when you do a ritual, you're drawing on all the power of the ritual that's ever been done before. When people are killed on certain days, it empowers it even more in certain places at certain times. They keep all this information for themselves, and it's been passed down through thousands and thousands and thousands of years.
What's the deal with the blood sacrifice? Because for me, they just pulled one off, and it was they got rid of the makeup artist of Selena Gomez, who Celine was ravished by Pan, the goat man, and was also the makeup artist and the Super Bowl themed artist for Katy Perry's Super Bowl. They took him out just a few weeks ago. So
now, what with Selena Gomez? What when you were talking about Pan? What was that from a music video?
No, her name. When you speak it, you say Selena, but Celine was ravished by Pan back in the mythology aspect.
Okay, I'm with you now. Okay.
And we're in the year of the goat. and they tried to put the goat statue into Oklahoma, Baphomet.
That's
And
right.
at the same
Yeah.
time, the Hindus wanted to put the monkey statue in. And we're going into the year of the monkey next year. So they put a side-by-side echo of time there in Oklahoma.
Yes. Yeah. Brilliant. Yes. Yeah, it seems to be moving so fast. The fact that that you could put a Baphomet statue up, that it even would be in question to put one up, shows you that we're like in a different place than we used to be.
Yeah, it got rid of the Ten Commandments. And also you mentioned Bob Geldof, and they took his daughter. And a gelding is a horse without its...
And what about Michael
OTO.
Hutchins? Michael Hutchins.
Yeah. So
well, that's a long time ago.
Yeah. But
they wanted to disgrace him. They wanted to make it, because the death, that autoerotic asphyxiation is known as a calling card to humiliate as much as possible. I mean, to embarrass the family and the man himself. He was obviously murdered and put into that position. So was
David Carradine.
Yes, Carradine, same thing. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
He had a whole lot of knowledge as well, and I think he was threatening to speak. And that's their calling card for the biggest embarrassment. I mean, it's horrendous.
What do you think about what's happening with Randy Quaid and how he's talking about the Hollywood star whackers, and again he mentions Heath Ledger, and you look at their behavior, Evie and Randy, and a lot of people. I mean, I know I have a lot of friends that will say, oh, they think he's whacked or he's lost his mind. But then again, you have to realize what maybe he's gone through, because a lot of entertainers have had bizarre behaviors. For example, let's talk about it. I mean, like Martin Lawrence, I think, was publicly going crazy one time, and
he did. He jumped out of his car with a gun and said, "They're trying to kill me." I forgot his name. The one who left. Chappelle, Dave Chappelle.
Uh-huh.
He also came out and said the same thing, and said the effeminized. There's a big thing to feminize the male, to take out the male, because if you have a population with a weakened, effeminized male, then they're easy to take control of. So dressing up men in dresses, or the feminist movement initially at the beginning, taking out the position for the sort of like a lot of males now don't know what the position, where they're supposed to be anymore.
Caitlyn Jenner.
Yes, exactly, and that was a huge push. That's definitely a huge push to accept it. And now there's children saying, well, it's okay. A 5-year-old or a 6-year-old saying that they are transgender.
Look at Angelina Jolie's daughter.
Right.
A lot of us, and what I find interesting is Will Smith's son.
Yes.
I'm looking, what is going on here? Cher's daughter.
Yes.
There's a lot of transgender or gender identification issues with celebrities' children.
Yeah.
Jaden Smith was wearing a dress, wasn't he?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah. Multiple times. That's
conditioning to accept androgyny. Yeah, more and more so.
I had an experience with, and I'm going to share it because this is the reason why I think there is really something going on. I had a very odd experience with a man who wanted to work with me in Hollywood, and basically, his studio was across the street from the Hollywood Cemetery. And he kind of came up as because I do shows about cannabis and things like this, and he goes, William Morrison wants to do a tour, et cetera, et cetera. And he takes me into his office and he shows me some projects that he's been working on, and I got kind of tripped out because he brought in a cartoon where all of the characters were under MK Ultra mind control, and they were also in the witness protection program, living in Hollywood, supposedly working as a restaurant. But there's alien overlords in it, and the characters are going through different periods of time, from the ancient Egypt to etc. And I was starting to get kind of tripped out, okay, because he'd shared some bud with me. with me and he's talking to me. I'm thinking, why the hell is he showing me this? You know, I'm like, what is going on here? And then he says, he goes, you know, Terry, he goes, the reason why, and one of them was a transgender character, and he goes, the reason why I created a transgender character is because this is the model of the new human that's coming in the future.
There you go. Yes.
And what's Baphomet? Baphomet's half man, half woman too.
Yes.
Right.
Exactly. And that's exactly what that's the new template of what they want the new being to be. Yes. Complete. I think this is how they're doing it as well. They're placing people that they are telling us are male or female into positions where you give them adulation and you celebrate them. They become celebrities, but they are in fact actually androgynous. They're hermaphrodites, and so you're pouring energy into this person, and so that then reinforces that to be okay. And so it's sort of like more trickery. It's fooling you. I think that Lady Gaga is an example of that.
Yes.
I think that's the same thing. And when you pour energy into that, you're saying that that's okay. That's all right. So it's a way of manifesting it more.
Well, even look at let's bring up Bruce Jenner. Here
Yes.
we have this triathlete that was the model of maleness and male physical strength and energy on the cover of a Wheaties box, and then you have him now. We have a reality show called of him being transgender, and because see, when I had this conversation with this person, this was pre Bruce Jenner, and really, literally, it's only been a year ago that I've had this conversation with this person. So a lot I can see that where a lot has happened in during this time. Now, what was interesting about our conversation, this is another thing that tripped me out, is I was asking him, I said, so what do you think we could do together? Why are we having this conversation? Well, first of all, this is another thing that he told me. And this is weird too. He goes, Terry, he goes, you can't save the world. We can't save the world because the best thing we could do is like enlighten humanity to a certain level, and then we can go back to our planet. And I'm like, okay, this is like trippy. And then he goes, and I said, so what do you want with me? What is it that we're gonna do here? And he goes, well, those souls that are over here, and they were buried at, I guess there's a Masonic temple too there, the Hollywood Cemetery. Because the souls over here, he goes, they want to create something again. They want to walk on the green carpet. And I was thinking, they're going to hijack me? Like what, it was a very, very trippy conversation.
Yeah, it sounds it.
Right. But then again, that's how come I kind of I have the feeling that when we talk about these things, to get that close to that area, and go, well, wait a second, there is something going on here. Why does he have a cartoon with alien overlords on it and MK Ultra, and there's a transgender character? You can definitely draw a little bit of a correlation to all those kind of characters.
Yeah, well, definitely. And just going quickly back to Bruce Jenner, that was a long ritual that was done, and it was to show you that they have the power to take a alpha male athlete and turn them into a female, and it's more them saying, look what we can do, and there's nothing you can do about it.
I got one for you.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you hear about the curious case of Oscar Pistorius?
No, I didn't.
Do you know who I'm talking about? The athlete with no feet.
Okay.
Right,
Yeah.
I ended up tracking him, and they did exactly what you said. I reckon from before he was even born, someone had a plan for that man.
Yes.
To match him up with dates. And so the dates go as follows. I'll be quick. Yeah. I'll start backwards. They stood him on 9/11, and I work off a calendar date. So picture a hieroglyph version of them on a calendar. You can match all the dates up. He stood on 9/11, 2 pillars. We go backwards. Before that, August, they stood him in between 2 pillars on the 7th and 8th of August, between the 6th and the 9th, Hiroshima and Nagasaki. So there's 2 more pillars. There's 4 pillars around him. Now we go back to 2013 when he made headlines by killing his girlfriend on Valentine's Day. His name, Oscar, while can mean Osiris, which I came to find as well, Oscar can mean divine spear, God's spear. And Pistorius can mean miller or baker, giant stone. So he's a giant stone. He's surrounded by 4 pillars. Now, one more stone. We need one more stone to equal the Georgia guide stones because of the 4 pillars around and one in the middle. There's one over the top. Well, within 24 hours of him killing his girlfriend, a stone came in over the top, over Russia, February 14th, 15th. So I reckon they built the Georgia guide stones from him, a symbol of what's coming. And he was born on November 22, 1986, the day JFK died, but not the same year.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, man, I reckon someone purposefully cut off his feet, and he had handlers and people who guided him through his life to reach this point, matching up to what you said, that while we sit around and watch TV, they sit around and draw up these super plans that are coded.
Yeah, super rituals. They're mega rituals.
Man, they are. And that flight M370 and all that stuff too.
Yeah, and they're so obsessively on point to do how they put it together. It almost seems too
it's almost
big
divine,
to be true.
like, in a way. And I wonder if God exists, is it God's plan anyway?
I think there's a stream of consciousness that is trying to push itself away from separate itself off completely from source, and that's what I think they're trying to do.
Yeah, I'll give you another quick one. We're in the year of the goat, so Baphomet can play. Now, on April 11th, I work on a calendar, so picture Obama on the 11th in that square. He went into Panama on that day. The very next day, Hillary Clinton put her hand up on April 12th to be president. That's the same day Freddie Gray went down. He died a week later, April 19th, Waco, Oklahoma. And so on the calendar, April 11th, Obama in Panama, and then Hillary the next day. They built Baphomet on a calendar, man and woman, back to back, with her putting her hand up, just like Baphomet. So that's how I operate.
As above, so below, the hand thing.
Yeah, man, it's kind of everything, though. I find that I'm like a sponge, and it's not just one thing. They pull pieces from Christianity to pagan, everything, which is the same anyway.
What I've noticed as well is I've noticed with commercials, adverts, that I'm seeing now, rather than the commercials being individual, they're all one. They're all one thing, and they're all telling you one thing. They're all connected. They're not separate from each other. If something is advertising soap, dish soap, and another commercial is advertising car, seemingly completely disconnected, but not disconnected at all. And they will also put specific commercials in with whatever is going on or whatever you're watching on television at the time to reinforce or to add to the ritual of whatever TV or movie you're watching.
Yeah, there's the simple brainwashing that the repetitiveness of the information makes us believe Al-Qaeda pulled off 9/11. But then there's that other underlying secret message code aspect that is sort of maybe an echo of time, something that's coming through early, and you just got to pick up on it and read more into it, actually. Definitely.
Yeah, and the more you do, the more you see it, too. The more you see it, it's everywhere. It's almost like everything is screaming out the truth if you only look with the right eyes. Everything is sort of telling you, isn't it?
Max, I want to bring something up too. I'm going to just shift a little bit here, but I want to bring it up is the Salvador Dali connection, because we were talking about that a little bit earlier, and his symbolism of the melting clock for time travel and how his art affected the subconscious.
Yeah, because I'm a fan of his artwork, I looked more and more into him and his history, and that I know that the original. So I read a book when I was young called Subliminal Seduction, and it was about advertising, and it was about how within all most advertising there is sexual themes, etc., etc. So that invokes, and then you purchase a product. But then I looked more in. I was looking back at Salvador Dali's early work and throughout his progression, and I noticed that they were. It was almost like they'd stolen or completely used his work or the way that he did it in modern day advertising, and so I looked more into it, and then I found some information that when he joined, he was a part of a sort of a magical cult in France, and he at this point he wasn't painting melting clocks in his paintings. And this is the story goes that he was on there's a certain train station, and there's a certain platform, and it's in Paris, and there is a gate there. There's a vortex or a gate there, and this group that he was involved in knew how to access this particular vortex or stargate, and then after this happened, he started introducing these melting clocks into his paintings, and it was said that it was because that he had then, I think late 60s, early 70s, realized that time wasn't linear and wasn't cyclical either, and that you could go to any point, and I think very possibly did, and was messing around with time travel and was connected with the Montauk project as well, which no one says. No one has tied that one too, because I know that Alice Cooper was very good friends with Salvador Dali, and Alice Cooper is also a bit. It's AC again, so you have Aleister Crowley. So Alice Cooper is connected to Crowley, and
who also came out of Laurel Canyon, by the way.
Yes, exactly. Again,
Yes.
And the Agape Lodge that we were talking about, that I believe Crowley went to in Pasadena, he was also so Crowley was an MI6 agent along with Ian Fleming and Roald Dahl, and they were all involved with this on the West Coast there as well, on a military capacity.
So the MI5's kind of like Hogwarts, and they sent out all their agents they built up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah,
I believe it, man. I believe it. I really do.
What do you feel? I mean, here we are. I mean, again, all of this. I mean, and I still want to go into to tracing how everything's somewhat connected with the agenda that's happening, and our entertainment business, and how we're creating our reality, and the bringing in of this new world order, religion, and agenda that we have coming towards us, the transhumanism. I mean, all of it is just kind of unfolding underneath our eyes. And yet at the same time, we're waking up and realizing these things and finding that human creative energy power within ourselves. What do you think is something that how do we take this energy or this realization that we are co-creators in our reality and evolve? I mean, are we? Is it possible to have a positive outcome, like where the people that aren't able to create, that are basically using the human as a battery?
Yeah.
How do we as individuals start to become empowered so that we don't have that happening to us anymore?
Well, I believe the outcome is going to be positive anyway. I believe this time that this ends and these cycles come to an end. I don't believe that it's going to continue this way anymore. It's definitely to do with self-awareness, and even cell phones and computers, and the fact that when you go out to a restaurant and you sit I look at a table of 6 people and they're sitting around and they're all on their phones, disconnecting. They're not connected. People aren't connecting. Community is disconnected, and so. Becoming more aware of self, becoming more, even just sitting and talking bring conversations back, bring group conversations back, bring trading and bartering and rather than in terms of not the monetary system, a different form of that, or connecting with people, reconnecting with people. The division is the thing that's managed to maintain this in the first place. The dividing languages, divide by language, give patriotism, like I'm right and you're wrong, so you keep dividing. And so it's a little bit of a trick there, because then they're saying, okay, well, one world, bring everybody together and everyone will be fine. But on the surface, they're doing it to herd the cattle and not to join heart together. So how do we do it? I think like self-awareness, and I think speaking about this stuff, I mean, and I think it's very important to not work so hard on people who don't want to do it, and who've chosen. There are a lot of people who have chosen to go around and do these cycles again, and do the master-slave cycle again, who are not ready to move on, and it's almost like a little bit of a waste of energy, because they've already chosen not to change. They've already chosen to do the cycle again.
It makes me think, for some reason, I thought of that song, Master and Servant, that song by Depeche Mode.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so, we've been so indoctrinated with this kind of consciousness, in our music and just everything, the slave master sort of mentality, and also the victimization of it. Like, yeah.
If they don't maintain that all the time, 24 hours a day, then there's a chance that people would wake up. So they're like, it's intense, and especially now, because of the vibration raising on the planet, they have to intensify it even more. I was thinking about deodorants the other day, and the fact that you put the glands under your arms are extreme. The glands and the hormonal releases that are released under your arms when you put or spray any of those things there, you're literally altering the hormones in your body. And that's another way that they're effeminizing or masculinizing females with hormones in deodorant and body creams, etc.
Oh man, well, here's one thing that I've experienced with certain deodorants, and I always have, is the aluminum factor in them would just itches and aches. Like I remember the last time I used one of those, I felt that almost like as if my gland swelled for a moment.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was going to give the analogy of the sword and the stone as well, and so if you take the S off sword and you take the S off a stone, you have word and tone. Okay, so the tone is the frequency, which is maintaining the sort of the imprisonment of here. So the word, which would be the sword, would be, if you can counteract the frequency that is being the megahertz, the hertz frequency that is here, that is imprisoning, you can counteract it by word, by the throat chakra, by chanting a certain way. If that can be counteracted, the inverted false reality that's here would all of a sudden not be here. So the sword and the stone. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, go. I was going to ask, because then the English language that's been cultivated for us to speak this way, so we cast spells. You said word earlier that made me think in a new line. Cell phone, self-own.
Good one. Yes.
So work on that one, but yeah, please, sword and stone, please continue.
So the sword would be, it's the stone is the receiving energy, and so it's the feminine energy, and the sword is the male energy. But if you look at it as an analogy, the stone is locked the sword in, and it can't be moved. So it's almost like the male energy has been bound. Mars is male energy, or Mars or the male energy has been bound here, and or is being bound, and that is the way that they are being able to. You take out the males and then androgynize the population and then take it over.
And
They're doing
sounds
it
like,
that way.
yeah, they've bound the word and tone as well. Like you said, take away the
Yes.
two S's, and we're speaking spells basically for them
Absolutely. Yeah,
en
yeah. So they,
masse.
yes, yeah, without a doubt. And they controlled the language, and that way, when you say a sentence or when you do anything, you're spelling it. Even the word
What
imagination.
about summoning? What about
Oh wait,
summoning?
can you go back to the word imagination for a moment?
Magi, nation. So you, me, all of us are magi's with a nation of magi's. We all have that. We all have that ability to manifest that way, and so it's embedded in there again. It's
Do you
letting you
know
know.
that the school system is banning that word? That there
No.
in Los Angeles, there was a conversation of women that I had, and they were saying that they did not want to use the word imagination anymore in elementary school with their children because it had the word magic in it.
You're kidding me.
Yeah, no, I'm not. No,
Wow.
yeah, yeah.
So when you ban a word, then you limit the possibilities of creation.
Right.
Or if you control a word, you limit the possibilities. So phonetics, like we said at the beginning, is crucial and critical to it as well.
We only have about maybe close to 10 minutes left on the show, and I have just another question before we go on.
Yeah.
But also, Max, I want to give you a moment to. Do you want to let people know where they can follow you or anything like
Yeah.
that?
Well, you can find me on Facebook, and as it stands, I'm in the process of putting up a blog and a website. So, but at the moment, Facebook will be to find me there, and it's Max Spiers.
Great. Yeah, I'm actually friends with you on Facebook.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, yeah. Yay, Facebook. I was kind of impressed that Facebook actually, it makes you feel like it's personal to you, but it goes Happy Halloween. I'm like, oh.
I know, how funny is
It
that?
makes me almost like them instead of like actually realizing that they're data mining us, to see where how we're thinking.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
So we can be manipulated even more and sold more things to. And speaking of being sold things to, what about Carl Jung and Edward Bernays and all that kind of, yeah.
Well, I mean, so definitely Freud and Jung were there at the basis of Tavistock, and they were the big minds, along with a few others that began that, and that Tavistock began to there was too many people to control overtly with hands-on, and so they needed to find a way to do it through the mind, and that's what that is, and it led through to the Stanford Research Institute in California and Sussex University in England, here in Sussex, and also the Royal Free Hospital is directly connected to Tavistock, so they'll have a lot of babies, bloodline children, or indigo children or crystal children. They will make sure they know they're coming before they arrive, if that can possibly make any sense. Everybody at birth and before birth through each lifetime has a specific frequency which is only their own, and so when you're born here, they already have that tracked, so you can be tracked throughout life through your frequency. So they know you're coming before you come here, and the Royal Free Hospital, and you can look up the Royal Free Hospital is connected with Tavistock, and most of the trauma to the specific Tavistock babies goes on at this hospital.
Unbelievable. I want to, I just recently saw a photo of one of the photos that Prince William and Kate had it with the baby, and it was so haunting to me because she looked very it looked almost like it came out of another time period, and the expression on her face was like, to me, very Stepford Wife-ish.
She always does. Whenever I look at her, I don't get a good vibe from her. I don't even know if she was pregnant. I don't get the feeling that she was pregnant. But
neither do I.
I just don't get. I didn't get the glow when a woman's pregnant. There's usually a change in their auric field and a glow, and she didn't. That never happened with her.
No.
So so that was questionable. Um, I don't know. I don't know. They
You'd have
most
to
of
look
the
at
stuff
the
that.
symbology
Go
of
ahead.
the name and their names. If the stories aren't real, then what
Yes.
does it mean? And
Yes.
so Prince George and Prince Charlotte, you'd have to play with them. I was
Yeah.
thinking George's guide stones. It'll be for when he
Yeah.
gets to about 2021, becomes king. He'll work off the guide stones. Princess Charlotte, born this year, wasn't she? Maybe she
Yeah.
was summoned in. That's maybe the spirit of Isis because everyone was chanting Isis. The Ice Bucket
Yeah.
Challenge sort of led up to that
Yeah.
as well. So I'll mask the vocal tone, the word and tone again. Now,
Yes.
possibility. I work off as well straight up. I say dog, you say cat. So Charlotte's Web, the spider, 8, and then
Yeah.
2015 can equal up to 8. So
Yes. Yeah.
yeah, man, it's just some sort of holographic universe with a touch of magic almost.
Yeah, it is. It is, and it's sort of like when I'll watch sometimes, even with rugby that I was watching today or a football match. The numbers. I know that these particular players are not in on what's going on, but they end up lining up the numbers sometimes really synchronistically, like they're telling you something, like it's being explained. How is that working? Well, it's working through ritual magic, but what's magic anyway, apart from the manipulation of electromagnetic energy through will and intent? And electromagnetic energy is the force that builds, is the building blocks of this reality. So
Well
they,
said, well said. I'll
yeah,
drop off,
right.
guys. I'll leave you to it,
Oh,
Terry.
wow.
Thank you
Thank
All
you
very
right.
so
much.
much for calling in
Well,
tonight,
pleasure.
Pony.
Thank you.
Pleasure. Actually, I just met Pony recently because I'm doing I'm actually hosting some of the one of the roundtables here on Thursday mornings between
Oh, awesome.
2 a.m. Eastern. If you're ever up, you're welcome to join.
All right.
Sometimes we do things. So yeah, I do you think, and I've often wondered this, when you understand the chanting and the words and the vibration of words, and I don't know what the other day I kind of had I was driving, I had a little vision. I don't know if it was just my imagination or what it was, but I thought of like monks all chanting certain words that matched with symbols that were part of the architect of energy, that they could actually move objects up and down. They were actually very quickly molding.
Definitely.
That's
Definitely.
real.
Absolutely, definitely. And I've used it in psychic attacks that I've had done to me, which have been many over the years. There was one particular time I used the chant HU, which is just HU, and you hit a certain pitch. And when I did that, the force field that came around me was incredibly powerful. It was blue, and there was like a child, like a Buddhist child, like a Buddhist monk, but maybe he was 6 or 7 years old. He was above me, and he was hitting the same pitch with the sound that he was doing, and then the attack that happened faded and disappeared, and the child that was there acknowledged me and disappeared as well. So it's definitely sound, and releasing this is to do with sound, and the imprisonment is to do with frequency.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for being on the show tonight, Max. That was Max Spiers. And happy Halloween to everybody that's listening. Have a wonderful weekend. I'll be back next week, Friday and Saturday. Thank you for tuning in. Douglas Dietrich is next. Enjoy.